that is one of the absolute worst things. That Handmaid's Tale, I want to watch that show and enjoy it. I think it has done irreparable damage to the psyche of some women. That is not in the future.
Welcome to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends, the podcast where we explore life, career, relationships, and pop culture through a Christian conservative perspective. Each episode, we dive into deep topics that matter most to us women, from navigating your career with grace and confidence to watering meaningful relationships grounded in faith. We're here to empower you to embrace your femininity and stand firm in your beliefs. We'll also tackle the latest in pop culture, discussing how they align or clash with our values. Let's uncover the truth and encourage each other to live boldly and authentically. So whether you're at home or on your commute, get ready for some fabulous conversations. Grab your teacup, pour yourself some tea. Come on, girlies, we're changing culture. The views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not reflect our employers. Enjoy! Hello, welcome to Those Other Girls. I'm Mal, your gal pal. Pour yourself some tea. We are serving truth and living that set apart other girl's life. Now, you probably are like, what did she just say? This is all new. You're probably even looking at some of the colors in the background, the logo. This all looks new. Yes, girlies, we rebranded. So, really quick, this is an ongoing thing that I'm going to be doing. I think I'll officially be completely and utterly done in August, but I'm rebranding some things. The biggest rebrand is the colors. The colors are a little bit more me and my style, and they have not changed since 2020 when I first got them. This is the first time the colors have changed. It's more me, it's more in my style. It's also in my color palette, if you paid attention to, technically 302. Also, if you notice, I went back to just counting all of them instead of doing seasons. Once I did a couple, I was like, no, I don't really like that. I want to go back to like episode 3. I think this is episode 324. So anyway, welcome. And just a quick, I'll do a whole episode kind of like talking about it. I honestly, like, this has been so hard for me not to talk about this all the time, about like what I've done. And like, I asked a couple friends here and there about colors and this and that. And like, it's been so hard. And honestly, I probably should wait till I have every single thing cemented. I want to do like a fun little photo shoot and everything, but I can't, so I'm not. I'm in charge. Who's it going to hurt if I just do it all now? Or do it piece by piece, whatever, who cares? And without like a huge countdown, whatever. It's my show, so, you know. So you're listening to Those Are the Girls. This is Those Are the Girls, and I want to talk really quick. So we're going to talk about a lot of things this episode. Really quick, for those that are new here, for those who are like, oh my God, what does this all mean with the rebrand? The rebrand, this is still going to be a Christian conservative podcast where I am talking about various topics. I'll have guests on and things like that. I say things like that a lot, by the way. My friend pointed that out, and I'm like, I really do. But I'll have guests and different topics still from the Christian conservative perspective, because at the end of the day, that's who we are. But I'm kind of niching a little bit more. So one of the things we'll continue to do Christian hot takes, which are the TCAPs, which is what today is. Today's a TCAP. I'm going to be talking about some things, some serious and not so serious things that have been going on. And then I want to talk a lot about like, how do we live our life as Christian feminine women who are in 9 to 5s? A lot of conservative and Christian podcasts talk about homemaking and how it is to homeschool and things like that, which are not wrong things. These are things that I think are good, but not everybody is in that season. I for one, am not in that season. So it is good to have those other opinions. It's good to hear these other perspectives, I guess is the better word, because for those of us who are working and who aren't sitting at home, you know, so as someone who's not married and doesn't have any kids, if I was not working, I'd be sitting at home twiddling my thumbs at the end of the day. So for those of us who go out and work and do these different things, how are we supposed to be presenting ourselves? So I want to talk a lot about that. The other thing is I also want to talk about how is it to be a Christian conservative in a city. Once again, I think there's a lot of conversation about moving out in the middle of nowhere, living with your friends in 6 acres, but not everybody wants to do that. Some of us want to. I enjoy living in the suburbs. Let me tell you, I am a suburban girl. I like when I get married, hopefully, and have kids, I want to live in a cul-de-sac. Like, I love it. I have zero. When I tell you I have zero, I mean, I have zero interest in living out in the country.
visit. Oh my goodness, please. Some of my friends want to. Oh, we would love to visit. I would love to stay a weekend. That'd be so nice. But living there permanently, oh my goodness, no. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know my fun about chickens. So yeah, that's like not for me. But I just don't see anything. So what do we do? How do we still live this? How do we still be a light in these places? Because, you know, we're not supposed to run from evil. We're not supposed to run from the things that we are scared of or we think we're better than, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We're supposed to be set apart. And I think that's and the final thing I want to say about just the rebrand and like some of the language I'm going to be using now is when I was thinking about being an other girl, initially it really was being different from like the world. That is something that we are called to be. We are called to be set apart. That is in the Bible. That is what we're called to be. We're different from the world. We have opinions that are going to be different than the world. I talk all the time, especially when it first started, about like the call her daddy thing. You might hear some of the same topics on Call Her Daddy or I don't know, some of the other famous pop culture podcasts, but our opinions are going to be a little different. Perfect example I'll use really quick is the one, I don't remember the name of the podcast, but I think it was like with that Grace girl and the girl who dated that Zach Brown, whoever he was. And they were talking about, oh, it's no big deal. Let your boyfriend go to the strip club. No, that is a big deal. That's not something you should allow. That's not something good. That's something you break up with somebody over. That's what I'm saying. We're going to have different Christian hot takes in these TCAPs. And so we're set apart. We're different. But also, as I've grown, as things have changed in the world, as I've matured, as you have matured in my audience, I think that we're also set apart from some who might consider themselves Christians or might consider themselves conservative. Because at the end of the day, all our opinions, our worldview, the lens we see things through is the Christian lens, okay? So we're seeing things through the Christian lens. So what people who, you know, are very proud that they're Republicans, people who are some of the people, I think of some of the men on Twitter that kind of say those outlandish, kind of crazy things. We're a little different than that, and that's okay too. And we are set apart. We're going to put our Christian values, we're going to put that above our conservative values, and that makes us set apart. So I'm going to be talking a lot about being set apart and being, I guess, just set apart in this world in both aspects of it. So I am really excited for this new season of Those Are the Girls and just where everything's going from here on out. I plan to do at least one tea party this year. That is the goal. I'm going to be doing some, ideally, I'd love to do this summer, read one or I'm thinking 2 books and watch 2 movies together. So like we'd read 2 books, we'll pick it as a group, and then I'll do an oops spoilers about it, and then we'll watch 2 movies and I'll do oops spoilers about it. We'll see. Oops spoilers, for those that do not know, is the movie review book. It's a book, movie, and television review podcast where it's just me yapping and giving a TOG score. I do give a score where I rate the plot, how entertaining or how interesting is the plot. I give, is there a lot of cursing? I give, is it spicy? And then I also give a score of, is it entertaining? The plot could be interesting, but did it entertain me? Did I not want to put the book down? Did I keep my eyes glued to the screen? You know, is it a TV show I have to keep watching type of thing? So that's what Oops Spoilers is. Anyway, I'm really excited for this new what's coming up next with Those Other Girls. And yeah, I have some really cool guests lined up. I'm so excited for, I'm going to do a series in August that I'm really excited for. And I think you guys are going to love. And I think that some people, you know, you listened in the past and feel like the podcast was kind of lagging. And I think I don't say lost my way because that sounds like crazy, but like it was kind of hard to figure out like what arena or whatever should I be focusing more on and like what do you guys want to hear. And you know, I've gone through co-hosts, that's a whole other conversation. Maybe I'll have on the Patreon one day. I've gone through co-hosts and things. People have just kind of like quit or used me. That's a wink wink for those that know. So those things have happened, and it was kind of devastating. It was really hard to kind of like push forward and like, okay, how do I move forward? Especially like sometimes the podcast doesn't sound all that great. Like I'm working on audio and stuff, especially, if I'm interviewing. I don't have the money or the infrastructure to fly someone over and we sit down on a couch, which eventually that is the goal one day, but fly someone over, we sit down on a couch and we just like sit and chat. Like, I love that concept. That is something I plan to do one day, but I just don't have the infrastructure right now. So sometimes things are a little wonky with that. So thank you so much for being patient. If you've been listening from the beginning, those of you who listened from the beginning, those of you who listened and reach out to me, I just really appreciate it. And I'm just really excited for you guys to see, especially, oh my gosh, this new series in August is going to be so good. I just got to confirm a few things and then I'll start teasing it and everything. Anyway, so let's get into this TCAP. This is a TCAP I'm doing by myself. So actually the first thing I want to, what am I doing? Are you guys ready to discuss things? Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that I've been wanting to talk about, and I've wanted to like take time. That's another thing too that I want to be better at, taking time to think before I comment, think before I post, especially when it's something like really serious. Because I will say this, like, my goal is to change hearts and minds, especially when we're going to be talking about abortion. We're actually going to be talking about Adriana Smith. My goal is to change hearts and minds. And to do that, it's going to look a little different than some other podcasts or some other creators, advocates, influencers, whatever you want to call it. It's going to look different. So I do want to take my time to like think out my thoughts and like to just see how some things play out here and there. And because of that, sometimes, you're not the first to report a story, or you're not the first to like have this profound thought that everybody like is thinking of, and you're just unfortunately, that's just like part of the game. But my goal is to change hearts and minds, so that's what I'm doing. Here we go. I'm going to read this article. This is the latest one. Today is May 22nd that I'm recording. That's the other thing too. All this and the other stories, hopefully there's not any other updates by the time this actually comes out. So a GoFundMe has been set up for the brain dead pregnant Georgian, and what we know about the case. This is from onlineathens.com. I also want to say Standing for You, which is a Students for Life initiative, they also have a GoFundMe. Theirs is a life. I'll link both of these for you if you are interested in donating. And the one that's set up for Students for Life, they're Standing by You, will go to the Adriana Smith's family. Okay, so here is the article. This is what it says. A Georgia hospital continues to be the center of a complicated and controversial medical event. Emory University has been in the spotlight since earlier this month when news broke out that they were allegedly keeping a brain-dead pregnant woman on life support due to state law. It has since been at the center of much debate between politicians, doctors, and law experts. Who is Adriana Smith? Adriana Smith, 30, was nearly 9 weeks pregnant on February when she started experiencing intense headaches. According to her mother, April Newkirk, as reported by Associated Press, she went to Northside Hospital and was sent home with some medication. The next morning, Smith was gasping for air and making a gurgling noise in her sleep. Her boyfriend called 911. Smith was taken to Emory Decatur and later transferred to Emory University Hospital, where she worked as a nurse. A CT scan revealed multiple blood clots in her brain, and she was eventually declared brain dead and has since been moved to Emory Midtown. Newkirk said her daughter has since been kept on a ventilator with the plan to keep her on life support until at least 32 weeks of gestation, when the fetus has a better chance of survival outside of the womb. The doctors were reportedly unable to consider any other options due to Georgia's law. Okay, now listen to this. Does Georgia's abortion ban apply to the brain-dead woman? Georgia's Heartbeat Bill, also known as Life Act, bans abortion after there is a detectable heartbeat, usually 6 weeks or sooner, with exceptions for things like medical emergencies, rape, incest, and if a doctor determines the pregnancy is medically futile. On Friday, Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr Communications Office issued a statement, quote, "There is nothing in the Life Act that requires medical professionals to keep a woman on life support after brain death. Removing life support is not an action with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy," end quote. This is aligned with opinions from other bioethics like Minnesota lawyer Thaddeus Pope and Virginia law professor Lois Shepard. Emory has denied commenting on Smith's case due to privacy laws, but has given a statement to other outlets saying they use, quote, "consensus from clinical experts, medical literature, and legal guidance to support our providers as they make individual treatment recommendations in compliance with Georgia's abortion laws and all other applicable laws. Our top priority continues to be safety and well-being of the patients we serve," end quote. So how is Adriana Smith's baby doing? Smith is now 22 weeks pregnant, according to 11 Live's Monday Update, and doctors reportedly plan to keep her on machines until early August when she hopes to deliver her baby via C-section. Newkirk said her unborn grandson, whom they have named Chance, is doing better and has been receiving steroids as well as nutrients through a PICC line. His heartbeat is strong and he is measuring slightly above average in weight for his gestational age. Quote, he has toes, arms, limbs, and everything is forming. We're just hoping he makes it, end quote. Newkirk has previously indicated that this whole ordeal has caused significant medical bills, which is why last week she started a GoFundMe page and raised more than $97,000 with a goal of $275,000. And in this, she said the world would have been turned upside down, asking for prayers and support. Okay, so that is what that's where we'll end the article. I'll link it as I do for these episodes. Now, let's talk about this really quick. I want to make note of two things. The grandmother has named the child, and she mentioned how the baby in the womb has arms, legs, and limbs, and all these things. Okay. So the first thing we need to talk about is the humanity that the grandmother is giving this child. That is the first, I think, something that that when you are looking at this, I'm like trying to move my hair. That is something that when we are looking at this conversation online, you don't see a lot. You see these people being very dramatic. They're keeping a corpse on ice they're literally using our bodies. And that is not what a disgusting, for lack of a better word, what a disgusting way to look at this. First of all, the grandmother has already given the child a name, so that's a human being. And I can't help but think that, like, a mom, like, I asked my mom said, of course, she would want to do everything possible, like, keep her alive as long as possible for her child. I asked some of my friends. I'm not a mother yet, but that is, if I became pregnant and like today, this were to happen, absolutely give my child a chance to live. This is my child. And that I think is like what most women truly believe, but culture, this is a huge problem. I think the whole discussion, like how it's kind of turned into this, like they're literally using our bodies, it's a Handmaid's Tale, is I think from how things have turned out in culture, how we have just completely done away with caring about the least of these children and the elderly in general, and sacrifice and like being uncomfortable. And let me tell you, it sucks being uncomfortable. It sucks to deny yourself. I mean, that's really what it is denying yourself. It sucks to do that. It's hard. I'm not perfect. There's times where I should be uncomfortable and I should deny myself, and I don't. Okay? That I'm not perfect. I'm not sitting here acting like I'm perfect, but this is like the result of that. It's just so, it's such a warped way of thinking about what is happening. What is really happening is a woman, she's helping keep her child alive, helping to provide a place for her child to live while he is continuing to grow. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's also amazing like how technology is. If this type of thing happened in 1872, I mean, unfortunately, I think the mother and the child would have passed away. But the way technology is, like, this is a good advancement. This is a good example of like things moving forward. So I wanted to say that the big thing is like, well, also, okay, I'll say this too. The idea that like this is just some awful, evil, horrible thing that they're doing to this woman, and it's cruel and inhumane and all this other stuff. That idea, like I said before, is connected with our idea of not being able to sacrifice and culture and like how culture has changed. The other side of that too is, well, he's going to have all these problems when he's born, and actually, I'll address that first. He's going to have all these problems when he's born. Well, from what this article we read here sounds like it's okay. I've seen people say he's going to be blind. I have not read that anywhere. I think people are just throwing things out there. They're just, because this idea is unfathomable, because we have just decided there's no reason for us to sacrifice for anyone. There's no reason for us to do hard things. There's no reason for us to, care about someone other than ourselves. Because essentially that's kind of what it comes down to, kind of caring about someone other than yourself. And it's just, so people I think are just like making up, he's gonna have this issue, he's gonna have that issue. Haven't read that, didn't see that in this article. They said he's measuring fine. And here's the other thing too, there's the GoFundMe, there's people who are, as soon as I saw this story, and so I was like, that's the other issue. People were saying, well, she's gonna have all these bills. And I was said, oh, someone's gonna do something. I've donated. Those other girls is gonna make some donations as well. Like, we're all like, this is also what we do as a community, as like people. Like, this is how we come together. Like, this is doing something like not for yourself. This is sacrificing. Anyway, so I want to talk about that. I wanted to kind of give my opinion on that. I think it's really cool that technology is able to do this, that you're able to do this with technology. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think that it's initially, when you think about it, it's just like a crazy story. Like, my initial thought was like, whoa, that is crazy. That's like sci-fi movie. Oh, and I also want to say, like, you know, I've seen people, oh, this is going to be the future as soon as they learn how to incapacitate. I think that that is one of the absolute worst things. That Handmaid's Tale, I want to watch that show and enjoy it. I think it has done irreparable damage to the psyche of some women. That is not in the future. They're not going to incapacitate you to keep you to have children. And it's just so, it's frustrating. And I hear these people making these comments. I've seen a video about it. I'm reading comments on other people's posts and it's just so like, I think, and I've said this a million times and I'll say it again, sometimes you got to take a deep breath and think logically. This is not going to happen. That is not a logical train of thought. There's no way they're going to kidnap you, knock you out, impregnate you, and then you can't leave. Like, that just doesn't, all of these scenarios that people are coming up with. And I just want to encourage you, if you're listening and you're kind of creeped out or you're feeling comfortable with it, I just want to encourage you to just like take a minute and think everything through logically. This is a special situation. This is something that it sounds like something that's like never been done before. This is something that's new. This is something that's like, yeah. And it's not like, and the thing is, I don't also want to make a comment on this. I have a friend that, not this exact thing because she's still alive and breathing, thank God, but something similar happened. She went in for a headache and she's expressing, hey, I need some help, blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh, you're good, go home. And then she woke up and at 23 years old, had a stroke, 23 years old, healthy otherwise. And this is more, to me, I'm also thinking like, we gotta do something about these doctors. Why are they not listening to people? Why are they not doing more follow-ups? Like, she did everything she was supposed to do. She was at the doctor. She was there. She was doing what she was supposed to do. And I think that to me is an even more interesting story that needs to be investigated. I hope someone does some looking into that as well. So that is my thoughts on the Adriana Smith situation. What are your thoughts? What did you think? Do you think that, are you still kind of, I understand being uncomfortable with it, but here's the other thing too. She and the family are both like, this is my child. This is my child. They're fine with it. So then what is the problem, I guess? I don't get the controversy, the consent aspect of it. Like, this is what they want. So why not? So that's Adriana Smith. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts? What do you think now? Now, hearing this information, getting more information on that, what are your thoughts? Okay, next topic. Moving to the next topic. Okay, let's talk about a bill and a law that has been enacted. Let's talk about the first one that is kind of connected about it's pulling what law we're going to be talking about. The big beautiful bill. Let's talk about that. So the House, today is May 22nd, the House passed the big beautiful bill and pro-life advocates applaud cuts to Planned Parenthood funding. This is from CBN.com. The Republican-led House of Representatives passed President Trump's big beautiful bill Thursday morning. The chamber cleared the sprawling package with just one vote after marathon meetings, intense negotiations, and a series of last-minute changes. The legislation extends the 2017 tax cuts and seeks to cut $1.5 trillion in spending, including hundreds of billions of dollars, cuts to Medicaid, and SNAP. However, it would infuse money to expand the military and boost funding to create a stronger border. We are looking for the discussion on the abortion aspect of it. Okay, here we go. CBN News reported GOP lawmakers introduced a provision in the big beautiful bill that will cut Medicaid funds from going to the abortion industry, including Planned Parenthood. This is what we care about. The bill includes language that not only removes taxpayer funding from the abortion giant, but also cuts funding for organizations that participate in transgender medical interventions for minors. Quote, this is a historic win for pro-life Americans and children in the womb, as Planned Parenthood and big abortion has been cut out of the big, beautiful bill and has been told to go fund themselves. Our 50-state grassroots networks will now turn our attention to the U.S. Senate, asking them to put life-saving care over the interests of the abortion lobby. End quote, said Students for Life Action President Kristen Hawkins. SBA Pro-Life America President Marjorie Dansfelser also commended Speaker Johnson for pushing to pass a legislation that will ultimately save thousands of babies. Quote, today Congress took a big step toward stopping forced taxpayer funding of the big abortion industry. This is a crucial win in the fight against America's #1 cause of death, abortion, and against waste and corruption. Medicaid will be stronger for those who need it the most, and there is no excuse for forcing taxpayers to prop up a scandal-ridden industry that prioritizes abortion transitions, gender transitions, and partisan political activism instead of prenatal care, cancer screening, and their legitimate health services that are in continual decline, end quote. She also urges the Senate to pass the bill. The GOP majority Senate will take it up after the Memorial Day holiday. Okay, so that is something that you've probably seen in the last couple of days by the time you hear this. A lot of pro-life are celebrating. Before I talk about that, I do want to say something. You guys know I had the abolitionist on. I had my friend Brittany, the abolitionist, on my podcast weeks ago at this point. If we just abolish abortion, we wouldn't really be concerned about Planned Parenthood and the funding and whatnot. So, like, we just got rid of it all. Like, we wouldn't have to, like, take these little tiny moments. That's just something I want to say, but I still want to talk about this. So this is good. It's a good win. We have to see, like, where it goes. It was approved in the House. Now it goes to the Senate, and then from the Senate, I believe it goes back to the House, and then it goes to the President. Now, this is good. These are to defund Planned Parenthood, and so they no longer focus on abortion and a lot of the gender affirming things that they're doing. Live Action in Savannah did like a really good like operation, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like, she called and like got information. They did really good on that. If I can remember, I'll also link that as well. They're trying to do a lot of gender affirming care. I've done an episode on that, how dangerous that is and how that's not for children. Anyway, so all of that to say, I just kind of want to report on this. This is good. I mean, once again, after listening to the abolitionist, it does feel like, oh, if we could just like get rid of abortion, we wouldn't have to worry about that. The best way to save all the children is not have abortion at all, but thankfully there will be some that will be saved. The thing is, well, they can get abortion. So the biggest thing is the abortion pill right now. That is like really what's taking people out. Like, that's, people are buying it in droves. Like, the abortion pill is skyrocketing. Some of the states that still allow abortion for certain weeks or whatever, their abortions have gone up tremendously. So yes, thankfully Planned Parenthood will no longer receive taxpayer funding for abortion, and I do like that the money that was going to Planned Parenthood for those things can go and help people who need Medicaid, and maybe help them get also some things for prenatal care and stuff like that. So that's good. That's positive, good. I just think we just need to get rid of abortion in general. Like, get rid of it in general. But, you know, this is good. So that's that. And then the next bill or executive order is the Take It Down Act. I want to talk about this really quick because this is really important. We talked maybe a year ago at this point, maybe 2 years even, about a girl whose face was taken by AI and shared in a group chat with some boys from her school, and they sexually explicit content, and then she ended up killing herself. Okay, this is what's going on. This is what people are using AI for. AI, I believe the episode after this, you'll be able to hear AI can be used for like some fun, interesting things. So I've typed in AI, I need a 30-gram recipe. Help me make a 30-gram protein recipe, blah, blah. Fine, it's great. Gemini, when you Google now, that AI thing, sometimes you don't have to like scroll a bunch. Sometimes the answer will be right there up top. AI can help detect cancer. That's what they're working it toward. Great things. Oh my gosh, chef's kiss. It does need some regulation. I think that sometimes as conservatives, we're like, less government regulation, yes, less government regulation. But I do think that things like this, like specifically like sexually explicitness, for minors. Things like that are just so, this is crossed the line of freedom of speech. This is crossed the line of just doing whatever. So the Take It Down Act, it is designed to help minors remove sexually explicit images of themselves from the internet. Let me look up this article. Sorry about this, y'all. I want to read it. Take It Down Act. I want to read it from here we go. Actually, I don't want to use AP. All right, this is from USA Today. The Take It Down Act explaining the law signed by Trump aimed to revenge form and deep fakes. President Trump has signed the bipartisan Take It Down Act into law in an effort to combat non-consensual images, including deepfakes and revenge porn. First Lady Melania Trump championed the bill as a part of her renewed Be Best initiative. It passed both House and Senate and was signed into law by her husband during the signing ceremony. Introduced last year by Senator Ted Cruz and Amy Klobuchar. Ted Cruz is a Republican. Amy Klobuchar is a Democrat. It has received overwhelming bipartisan support. So what is it? It criminalizes the publication of non-consensual intimate imagery. That features, also known as NC, that includes AI-generated images as referred to as deepfake revenge pornography. The law requires social media platforms and similar websites to remove revenge pornography content within 48 hours of notice from a victim. The key provisions to the Take It Down Act include criminalizing non-consensual intimate imagery by making it a federal crime to knowingly publish or share it on social media and other online platforms, and clarifies that consent to create an image does not mean consent to share it. It requires websites and online platforms to take down non-consensual intimate imagery upon notice from the victim within 48 hours. It protects free speech by targeting knowing publication of non-consensual intimate imagery and requires that the computer-generated consent meet a reasonable person test for appearing. Allows medical professionals or law enforcement to participate in the digital forgery of an identifiable individual when acting responsibly and in good faith. And this is why it was used, everyone. This is a very sad story. Why was it introduced? The bill was inspired by Ellison Berry and her mother after popular social media platform Snapchat refused to remove an AI-generated deepfake of the 14-year-old for almost a year. He thanked the First Lady and the support for locking arms in this critical mission to protect Americans from online exploitation. So, this is good. This is a step forward. As you guys know my stance. Let's get rid of all porn. I think all porn, get rid of it, and eventually prosecute those who promote, distribute, dissipate. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Pornography is a net negative on society. All right, let's get that on a shirt. So this is good. I think this is a good step in the right direction. Another great job. Great job, Congress. Great job, President. Great job, Melania. This is good. There's not really much more to say other than letting you guys know what happened, and this is good. I don't have anything really profound to say. Let's keep it up. Let's do porn, regular porn next. No, but that's good. Last thing I want to talk about, switching gears. Arguably, technically it is a more positive thing, but also not really. Switching gears. I'm going to talk about someone who meant a lot to me as a child. Maybe not as a child. I want to say in the high school, because I think that's when his music first started coming out. In high school, maybe middle school. Middle school and high school. Justin Bieber. Let's talk about Justin Bieber for a second. For those who are not aware, by the time you hear this, it'll be last week. Hailey Bieber had her own solo Vogue cover, which is exciting. Her very first time doing this, and Hailey's beautiful, okay? Hailey's beautiful. Maybe sometimes I'm am I a contrarian? Because the way everybody hates her now, I'm well, she can't be that bad. Now, is she someone I probably would be friends with? I don't think so. I don't think we probably have anything in common other than that we're both women, but I don't hate her. She's fine for all I know. Her husband, Justin Bieber, someone that, I wanted one of his songs played at my wedding. This is what he posted the day his wife got her very own Vogue cover. He posted this on his Instagram. Picture of the cover. Yo, this reminds me of when Hailey and I got into a huge fight. I told Hales that she would never be on the cover of Vogue. Yikes, I know, so mean. For some reason, because I felt so disrespected, I thought I had gotten to get even. I think as we mature, we realize that we're not helping anything by getting even. We're honestly just prolonging what we really want, which is intimacy and connection. So baby, you already know, but forgive me for saying you wouldn't get a Vogue cover, because clearly I was sadly mistaken. Alright, lots of things happening there. So first of all, he also changed the caption because there were so many people commenting on it. He changed the caption. So first of all, let's just talk about the comment first. I'm sure that they've gotten in fights and this happened. Like I don't doubt that. And that's really mean. That's something really mean to say to your wife, to someone you love. Your wife, your love is supposed to be your biggest supporter. That is just so mean to say. Do we get in fights and say things we don't mean sometimes to people we love? Absolutely. Now, to post it, that is where you lose me. There's no reason to post that on your wife's, the day of her, like, big accomplishment, a dream come true. Why share this story? I think this is an interesting story. I think maybe another platform, another way to share it is possible because, at the end, he's trying to give a lesson. Like, sometimes when we're mad, we say things we don't want to say, but really what we want is just connection and love. Sure. Why share this now? I'm confused. A. B. I really think that sometimes we don't have to share everything. We don't have to be so authentic. And that's something I'm working on myself. Like, I'm talking to myself too. Sometimes you don't have to be so authentic. I think that we have become an oversharing generation, become an oversharing group of people in general, like as millennials specifically. And that was just too dang much. There was no reason for him to share that. And it reminds me of something else. It reminds me of Rachel Hollis. In her book, she talked about how her husband told her this job she would not be able to get because only 3% of the people get this specific job. And then she got it. So she got a bracelet. She showed him a bracelet that said 3%. Look at that. He said he didn't believe in me, and now I did thinking it. My husband, the person who's supposed to be my biggest supporter, the father to my children, the one that's supposed to be there rah for me, he didn't believe in me, but I showed him, here's my 3% bracelet. And like, I think that was supposed to be like empowering. I read and saw that and I was like, oh, that's not something I want. That's not a relationship I want. And then this type of like behavior between Justin, Rachel Hollis' husband, all that, that's just like one or two steps below or above, or however, I guess below, that couple that the lady was talking about, how she irons her husband. She would iron her husband's clothes as he left to go be with his side chick. Like, it's, to me, that's all like in the same category. Those are all the same type of men. And honestly, not for me. That's not something I want. It's not inspiring. I just want to encourage everyone and remind any of the girlies, like, you should be with someone who supports you and is excited for you, someone who's not going to embarrass you, someone who's not going to tell you can't do something. That's just so crazy to me, like telling, you'll never be on the cover of Vogue. What? Like, I get people fight or whatever. I don't, why would you say that? And posted it on the day of. He also posted something like, it was a tough day, something like that. And it's like, why would you, even if it was a tough day, why can't you just give your wife like 5 seconds to like enjoy her moment? I just don't understand it. And yeah, I just want to encourage everyone, like, you should be with someone who's going to support you and cheer you on. Getting back at your husband by wearing a 3% bracelet isn't cute. That's not encouraging. Ironing your husband's clothes before he goes out with his side chick isn't encouraging. That's not something, that's kind of insane. So yeah, that's that. What do you guys think? What do you think about the stories I shared? What did you think about Justin Bieber? Actually, first, let me know what you think about Justin Bieber. Do you think he's okay? I am the person in my friends group chat that's like, oh, he's just quirky. Yeah, he's just quirky. It's becoming harder and harder to say that. It's becoming harder and harder to say that. He does not seem to be completely okay. So let me know, what are your thoughts on Justin? Do you think that, and also, what are your thoughts like when it comes to relationships with things like this? Do you think, you know what, sometimes you just yell at each other and you just say these things? Or do you think like, oh, Rachel Hollis' husband was just being realistic, and then, or a thing that the lady was saying was like, she felt like God gave her the grace. God gave her the grace to iron her husband's clothes to go out with his side chick. I'm sorry, that has like traumatized me. I cannot stop thinking about that. What an awful thing to share and then like to live. And let me just, I want to say this, to end it on this. Rachel Hollis and her husband are divorced, and unfortunately he's passed away, so this doesn't apply to them. But the other two couples are still together, and these situations could be 10, 15 years ago, and they could be completely different people. I hope they're different people. I pray that things have gotten better, and I will never like shame someone's marriage or like wish ill on someone's marriage. I typically don't like to tell people to leave their husbands, because I do believe that, you know, there's only adultery is the and obviously physical abuse is the only reason to leave a spouse. So I do believe that, biblical reasons. I do believe that for sure. So I would never say that, and I don't want to say that about people's marriages, but I just want those of us who aren't married, those of us who are dating, those of us who have a chance to like turn around, to just think like these are the things that we could be doing. And like these couples that are so together, I pray that they have moved past this and like God has restored that marriage, that relationship. So yeah, I just want to end on that. If you enjoyed this episode and you're excited for the rebrand and the coloring and some of the other topics and things, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening. Please leave some reviews and rate it. If you haven't already given it a rating, please do that. And if you can, 5 stars. I think it's fine. I think it's fair. 5 stars. I think it's a fair assessment of the podcast. So if you could do that, that would be fabulous. And then tell your friends. Tell your friends if they stop listening, tell them come on back. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good and it's gonna be great. If you have friends that are kind of like on the fence or like they feel like I can't listen to some of these like conservative commentators because they're just so ugh or whatever, girly, come over here. I'm not gonna be ugh. Or if you have a friend that's like, I need something to be more Christian. I don't want to hear a bunch of cursing. I want to hear someone's hookup stories. I want to hear like a Christian hot take that I agree with. Tell them to come on over here. So yeah, ladies, I hope you have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening. Bye.